Okay, guys, welcome back to another edition of Livewire. I am your host, Jerod Moore, and Livewire is the program where we take your questions from the chat. And on tonight's program, we are joined by Mvskoke soprano Dr. Kirsten Kunkle, Chickasaw composer Jerod Tate, and Norman Philharmonic music and artistic director Richard Zielinski. So thanks so much for joining us tonight, guys.
Great to be here.
Hello.
What we're going to be talking about tonight, guys, is longtime viewers may remember that in October we did a live wire about the world premiere of Kokumfina. And that world premiere happened in Chicago. And this weekend on Sunday at the the McFarlin Memorial United Methodist Church in Norman is going to be the Oklahoma premiere of Kokumfina. And so if you guys are interested while we're talking about this, there is a link in the description of this video if you want to go buy tickets to attend the performance. There's also a link to that prior live wire, as I mentioned. And then there's also a link to the Norman Philharmonic Facebook page where they have some little snippets of some of the performance that's going to be at this. And you could hear kind of as a preview what's going to be performed on Sunday. So to start off with, though, Mr. Tate, I wanted to, we talked about what Kokumfina is previously in the previous live wire, but for anybody just tuning into this live wire, could you give us an idea, what is Kokumfina?
Yeah, Kokumfina is the Shawnee grandmother who was appointed the overseeing of the creation of the Shawnee people. And so, and honestly, there's not a lot of detail. She's more of a presence, and everybody knows about her. And there's some details with different families of the story, but she is the one that was designated to oversee the creation of the Shawnees. And so, I'm aware of the story, and I am good friends of mine are Nancy and Maggie Boyett and Ruth Blalock. They are grandmother, mother, and daughter Shawnees, and I've known Maggie for a while. She's a choreographer, and so she and I have worked together for a long time. And I had pitched the idea of doing a new work based on this legend. The reason why I was right is because the City Music Cleveland was commissioning a new orchestral work, and I wanted to do a work that was that represented tribal people from that area. And of course, the Shawnees are very significant in that area, and I've got Shawnee friends, and I was like, oh yeah. So I wanted to do a story, and that story, I was just very attracted to the presence of Kokumfina in their culture, and so I just talked to those three wonderful women for a while about it, and just I got a really nice sense of what I wanted to do. And Kirsten is a very good friend of mine and a beautiful soprano, and she's Mvskoke, which is always nice for Indian country to have a native singer doing the classical pieces. So it just all came together beautifully. And so this is also very personal. I love Kirsten very dearly. And so I was just feeling a lot of love when I was writing this. We got a grandmother, you've got all these terrific women in Indian country. And I was just feeling a lot of that. And so I made this a very romantic sounding work.
Absolutely. And you know, Kirsten, last time when we talked about this, you were talking about the process of learning Shawnee because you sing in Shawnee. Has it gotten better? After your performance in Chicago, has anything been refined, or are you still like having to nail it down in rehearsals?
I think every time you go over something and you have the opportunity to perform it again, it gets better. I had 4 performances with City Music Cleveland, and it was wonderful to have multiple performances at one time. And now coming back to it again, it feels like a new piece in certain ways. Every time you come back to something, you bring something new to it. But yes, the Shawnee has definitely flowed off the tongue a little easier now than it used to. Awesome. And I think that will just hopefully keep improving with hopefully more performances down the road.
So with the Chicago performances, one of the questions that's been on my list is, have you guys been approached by any Shawnee that were able to go to the performance, and what was their reaction if that happened?
To my knowledge, there was no one at the City Music Cleveland performances that was Shawnee. I was hoping there might be more representation of it, but I think that I know that there will be representation of it at this performance.
All right.
And so I'm very excited for that. I'm not nervous for it. I'm just excited to be able to share that with them and have this really be for them. That's part of why we do what we do. And I think Jerod feels the same way, that we want to give this back to the tribes, that they can have this as part of their continuation of their legacy and their heritage.
Awesome. Yeah, and I want to remind. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I believe we got members from all 3 bands of the Shawnee in Oklahoma that will be able to attend. And there's some other important people that are really important, like George Blanchard, who is the translator, and he was a governor of the absentee Shawnee, and he runs their language program. He will now be able to hear that for the first time performed as an operatic piece. And so I'm really excited about that. I'm nervous, actually. Coming home is actually, I'm more nervous here than I am when I'm going abroad. But also Joel Barnes provided a very, very beautiful pronunciation guide for Kirsten. And so, and then Bria Alexander was very instrumental in hooking all of us up together, along with Maggie Boyett. And so a lot of really important people will be there, and other tribal members. And it's really fun. After the post today I did a feature on George today, and of course all of his relatives are like, "Oh my gosh, it's my uncle, it's my cousin, it's my brother." So it's really fun to see all that happening, getting some good energy. But we're bringing this language back home, which is terrific. And George is going to understand 100% of what's being sung, and that's going to be really gratifying to be able to perform that for him and other speakers.
Absolutely.
It's great.
I wanted to touch on, Mr. Zielinski, how did this come to the Norman Philharmonic? How was that process?
I think it was in 2012 when Jerod and I first started working together. I was very intrigued by his works and his story, and his music really spoke to me. So we've done, probably 5 or 6 different pieces on the Norman Phil season since then. Jerod, I think it was maybe 4 or 5 months ago, asked me if we would premiere it, and he's been very gracious to give us that opportunity. And our orchestra is known for doing like this concert. We'll do the Mozart 37, the Rodrigo, a very famous concerto. But I like to show people music from living composers, but also tell a story. And this is a story this tells a great story that I think the audience they kind of expect that in a lot of our performances, that it's not going to be like all Bach or all Mozart. I mean, we have 3 great composers, Mozart, Rodrigo, and Tate. And I think having this connection to the Shawnee community is really special. And we've gotten a lot of press, I think, in the area, and people are excited about it.
Yeah. Awesome.
If I want to brag on Kirsten a little bit. One thing that's really awesome is that we've worked together with many tribal languages. I mean, she was in the Chickasaw opera Loxie Shali. She played a very important grandmother role in that, sang entirely in Chickasaw, and then she has now twice performed the American Indian Symphony, which is in 6 different languages from Oklahoma. So she has now sung in Chickasaw, Modoc, Cheyenne, Apache, Potawatomi, Wichita, and now Shawnee and Chickasaw. I said, yeah. And so she has sung a whole gamut of Oklahoma native languages, and I'm really proud of that. She's it's great.
It's unbelievable. And that's one of the things we talked about in the prior interview too, was converting the native languages into the international phonetic system so that can be done, and all of the intricacies of that. And Kirsten, you're definitely on the cutting edge of that. I don't know if there is anybody who's done that, who's sung that many languages in this type of a format.
Nope.
I don't think so. I think that this is all pretty groundbreaking on every level. And I was thinking about it and responding to it in my own way. All of these pieces that I've done with Jerod, I've had subsequent performances of, this being the 3rd of those pieces, and that's so exciting. So often with new music, you get one chance, and then if you get a second chance down the road, you might be lucky to sing it a second time, and that might be 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. In a very short time, I've been able to sing these pieces multiple times, and that's such a gift to be able
Yeah.
to do that and to have that experience, and then the exposure, of course, for the music, but also for the languages, the representation for the tribes, and just, you know, bridging this divide that we have between classical music and our tribal heritages. We're working on that daily, and I know that's been Jerod's life work as well. As far as the IPA goes, I still maintain it would be a wonderful dissertation topic for
Yes.
any voice DMA program, anybody who wants to choose a language and write a phonetic alphabet, but they would have to do it for each language because they're all different.
You know, yeah, IPA is
there
not
are
like
some, like things for spoken that people use for their dictionaries. Singing is different because of the physics of the sound and how it has to change. So while you might be able to look in like a Mvskoke dictionary, it might be sung differently by a soprano in the upper register. Yeah.
And you know, even our own languages, when we sing our own folk music, we round out, they soften out. It's different than the speech. So, and that applies to all folk music from around the world, all ancient languages. When we sing them in our traditional music, it becomes a little, you know, it's a smoother, it's a more rounder version of it. And so there's a lot of variation, and of course, you know, depending on the speaker. You know, I mean, within each tribe, there's variation, and so there's a lot of differences that go on like that. IPA is supposed to be like a universal phonetic for all languages, but I mean, the International Phonetic Association guide is just expanded. It keeps expanding, you know, and with each language, there's always another variation to be put in there. So it's really the human languages are incredibly dynamic,
Yes.
dynamic.
So much nuance, and you know, I'm still very much a beginner in all of these languages. So I've had a lot of exposure to Chickasaw now, and I feel like I know a lot of words, but that doesn't mean I know the language. You know, I think that's a lifetime skill that you develop and grow with, and I'm trying to just get better with it every time. It's very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys, I want to remind you, if you have a question, just pop it into the chat and we will ask the question. I did want to mention one thing that I was watching our previous live wire, and I don't think I mentioned is, Mr. Tate, your Chickasaw name is Impichchaachaaha. Did I get that right? All right. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Like, is that something that you've always had, or what did someone give it to you? Like, get a little bit of the cultural history to that.
That's our inherited family name, along with our clan name. So we have house names and clan names, and so our clan is Shawi-Iksa, which is the raccoon clan, and Impichchaachaaha house name, and it translates to high corn crib. So that's we have house names and clan names.
All right, great. I just wanted to get that in there because that was my last time we did the interview. I didn't mention that, and that is something that our native audience will appreciate.
Back in the day, like around or the late 1800s or something, you know, we had both European surnames and Chickasaw house names, and so somebody would, if I was being introduced in English, I'd be introduced as Jerod from Impichchaachaaha, or from High Corn Crib, or of High Corn Crib, and that was, it's almost like von Beethoven, like from the house of Beethoven. You know,
Gotcha.
It's like House of High Corn Crib.
I see. So back to Kokumfina. I know when we did the previous interview, we talked about there may be some. It may get posted to YouTube or something. Some of the performance. Is this performance going to get posted anywhere, or if somebody can't make this performance, is it going to be any way for them to hear it?
Jerod, do you want to answer that question?
No, that's for you to answer.
I mean, we will record it. It won't be done live, but you know, there won't be a live stream. We will record it, and I think after we listen to it, because I would love to have more people hear this piece and see this piece. We'll do a video of it. We'll also do a multi-camera video recording of it, as well as professionally record the piece. I would like to take this into the studio, maybe in a couple months, and do a recording that people could, listen and understand it. You know, and we wouldn't have a timeline on it that it would be available for extra. But if anybody would want to learn more about the piece, please, contact any of us, I'm sure, or myself, and we can talk about that.
All right, awesome, great. Is there anything about the performance on Sunday that we haven't mentioned that you guys think is important to mention?
I'd like to just mention that we're going to have a pre-concert talk about this piece. There's going to be several people that are going to, really talk about the origins of the piece and how it became a musical composition, and the story behind the writing of this piece, and also the performance history of it, which I think is important. We're also going to have the Shawnee language and an English translation on big screens so people can see the language, both Shawnee and English. And then we also got some paintings from some indigenous artists that are going to be wonderful that tell a little bit of the story, because it's such a descriptive kind of journey throughout this creation it's a creation story, the creation of the Shawnee tribe. And
Awesome.
So that'll be interesting, because we're going to have Jerod and several other folks that are really important behind this entire project. And I think that's important for audience to see, that these pieces had an evolution. That it took time. It took somebody like Jerod to say this is important, and then he went and did his research and got more people involved, and then he met Kirsten, and then there's a lot that goes into these pieces, and so I'm excited about that, because I think that it'll connect. And we've all had wonderful matriarchs in our life that have made a difference, and I think that's a driving story throughout this piece, that this grandmother was the one that created this world and this new community for the Shawnee people.
And it's having the woman create the world is unique to the Shawnee and the Algonquin stories. So that's really interesting. It's different from a lot of other tribal heritages. So I think that that's something that is also appealing and worthwhile to note. And I was going to say, bring your mothers, bring your grandmothers, bring the matriarchs to
Absolutely.
this. This is a wonderful chance, if you have never exposed your family to classical music, to hear Mozart, to hear Rodrigo, there's a guitar soloist, and then to hear this work in a tribal language. This is rare. This is extremely rare, and it's right here in Oklahoma, right in Norman. You can just come on out, get a ticket, and come talk to us. Come talk to all of us and ask any questions you have, and be part of the development of this work, because it's important, and we're here for it. We're excited. We want to talk to the tribal members and know what you think, and hear what you got from it, and hear what you're taking home from this experience.
Absolutely. Mr. Tate, got anything to add?
Oh no, just come enjoy it.
All right. There was a question that popped up in here. Ruben Blanchard is asking, why are you asking Shawnee about the Mvskoke? It looks like he jumped in later on the stream. Ruben, so Mr. Tate is a Chickasaw citizen. Dr. Kunkle is a Mvskoke citizen, and I didn't ask you, Mr. Zielinski, but I assumed. But you're not a member of a Native American tribe, is that correct?
I am not. My
Okay.
my mom was an O'Brien, and my dad was come from the Polish heritage.
All right. So and then Kokumfina is a Shawnee story, and the musical performance will be sung in the Shawnee language. So I hope that clarifies it up, because we got 3 tribes going there. So
Yeah.
Thanks so much, guys,
And
for
also just to
go ahead.
repeat that George Blanchard is the translator for that, and this was very inspired by my relationship with Ruth Maggie Blalock and Nancy Boyd and Maggie Boyd. And so, just because of my friendship with them, I was inspired to write a piece that was in relation with their tribe.
Yes, and also that we go into a little more detail too on the prior live wire. If you want to click the link that's in the description of this video, you can watch, because we talk a little bit more about the development of Kokumfina and so on and so forth. So, but we're right at about where are we at? 20 minutes. So. If you guys are good, I wanted to thank you guys for jumping into the meeting tonight and doing this, and I hope. Do we know, are there still tickets available? Can people still buy tickets to come to the?
Yes.
All right. So there's a link in the description of this video if you want to get a ticket. It's in Norman. It's not on the Creek Nation reservation, but it is in Oklahoma, and you can get to Norman from the reservation. So I encourage you guys to go check it out. And also, the McFarlin Memorial United Methodist Church is a beautiful venue. There is multiple levels. If you haven't ever seen that, you should check out some of the images online from it, because I think it's going to be a beautiful performance, and it's going to sound awesome in that venue. And with that being said, Mado guys, and Mado to you guys for tuning in tonight. And I have a live wire next week. Again on Thursday at 6 p.m., where we're going to be talking to the Decolonized Decatur group with an update about some stuff that's going on there with some land that may have Muskogee artifacts on it. So if you're interested in that, tune in next week, and we'll see you guys again. Mado Hadum, Chihichatlis.
Chihichatlis.